Saraban Knights are only seen once in Scenario 1 and are the first of many cavalry units we'll see in the game. These fast-moving, hard-hitting enemies are particularly effective against our sword-wielding leader, who has an inherent vulnerability to lancers, halberds, and spears. As per all cavalry units, they have difficulty moving over rough terrain. The Saraban Commander is the first iteration of several generic leader units that possess no particular special powers or abilities. While he moves like a standard infantry unit, he wields a halberd, a weapon more commonly used by knights. As such, he can deal heavy damage to sword-wielding units, making a face-off between this unit and our leader a dicey prospect. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Let's Play Shining Force 3. My name is TotalBiscuit, and this is Battle 3 on the roads of Balsamo, where we are in hot pursuit of the masked monks and their kidnapped Emperor Domeric as they head towards their stronghold. Now, I promised I'd say something about the friendship system. Now, you can see there, a little icon above Mascarin's head. That indicates friendship. Now, I'm going to give you a short educational tutorial as to what the friendship system entails. The friendship system is an integral part of Shining Force 3 and rewards your characters for various actions taken together. Friendship can be gained in numerous ways, including having more than one character team up to kill an enemy, or having a character heal another member of the force. Character friendship consists of 4 possible levels, each of which takes longer to acquire than the last. When a character is friends with another character, they will give a specific bonus to that character if they are standing adjacent to them. There are 9 types of friendship bonus, each of which affects a different stat, and they grow in potency as a friendship level increases. Each playable character has a specific bonus he or she can give, and as such, some friendships are more beneficial than others. Achieving the final level of Soulmate allows friendship bonuses to be used while a character is up to 1 square away from his or her friend. Friendship levels will be lost if a character is ever killed in battle. So there you have it, that's how the friendship system works, and we're going to be seeing some friendship levels being gained in this particular battle between the various characters as they cooperate to take down the enemy. Now, this is kind of a pursuit level. We are trying to chase Benetram down, but what I will say from the start is that it is impossible. It is absolutely impossible to catch Benetram and his escort. It can't be done. You're going to have to follow them into Balsamo, which is fine. That's not really a big deal. They will continue to move, as you're about to see, throughout the fight towards Balsamo, and in about 3 turns they'll reach Balsamo, although you'll get a little bit of text, and then they will disappear inside. And then we've got pretty much all the time in the world to pursue them. It really doesn't make a difference. Now, as you're seeing here, the masked monks have not been upgraded in any form since Battle 1, and our characters have, so they are cutting through them. Really, I mean, the masked monks are not much of a threat anymore. This is actually going to be the last time we're going to see them in battle for a little while, and that's probably for the good of their health. We can slice through them without any difficulty whatsoever now, and we're actually going to be gaining level 3 for all characters in this particular fight, which makes them even more dangerous. Now, we did equip Kite with a bracer, an iron bracer specifically, which is an accessory after the last fight. And it's not going to make much of a difference here, but what you will see is that we're going to be dealing extra damage, an awful lot of extra damage. He was only dealing between about 4 or 5 to a masked monk before, now he's dealing closer to 7. The bracer will upgrade his limited attack capability. It is something that he does gain a lot more of later on. We're going to place Hayward over here just to deal with the last masked monk. I was going to try and see if I could take out one of the bats on the mountain, but that's not to be. Again, that's really not a problem. By this point, bats are even less of a threat than they were in the last battle, and will continue to be a little more than an annoyance, and we'll be using Hayward to plug them out of the sky. Now, this is a longer fight than the last one, so I'm going to be using Grace's heal sparingly. As you'll find out soon enough, there will be a reason for that, a very good reason for that. And there's, again, another example of the AI going straight past our stronger characters to attack the weaker characters. They will do that. And that's something you do have to try and avoid. At this point, I'm not particularly worried. They can only inflict about 3 damage to Grace. Grace has 11 HP. It's self-explanatory that she's not really in much danger. Over the next couple of turns, you're going to be seeing them peter in dribs and drabs. You're not going to be attacked in force by anything, really. They're just coming across to try and delay your advance, which, of course, they do, and it doesn't really make a blind bit of difference either way. But it's free experience. You can't really complain. The amount of XP that you actually get from creatures and monsters does decrease, as you can probably imagine, as you gain levels. Now, the minimum amount of XP you can ever get for killing or damaging something is 1, and it's best to push it until you reach the point where it's not worth doing anymore. When we do a little bit of power leveling later on in Chapter 3, we'll be showing you specifically the kind of curve that you can be expecting and how long it really takes to gain any kind of meaningful amount of XP from monsters which are just blatantly overmatched by your characters. And there we go, there's a little bit of a plot element for you. Now, Balsamo, as General Varlet mentioned, is where he previously noticed the masked monks, and that's where we're going to be going next. It's a interesting town, and the masked monks are there in force, although not perhaps in the way that you might imagine. Some very nice plot elements there. The plot does thicken, and we get introduced to a number of important NPCs. For the moment, though, we're going to concentrate on cutting our way through these, and you're probably thinking, well, where's the challenge in this particular battle? Well, at this point, there really isn't one. The battle is mind-bogglingly easy until now. Well, so much for that vaunted neutrality that they were talking about earlier. Evidently, Garrosh has not done too good a job in convincing the governor that we are innocent, so they've sent a detachment of Saraban Knights plus the Saraban commander to come and intercept us. Now, these guys are clearly hostile, and Benetrim tells us to stay ahead of them by using the rough terrain, which is unsuitable for horsemen. They're, of course, correct that that is unsuitable for horsemen, but we're not going to be doing that because there really is no point. The Knights do have a strength against our sword wielders, and our only sword wielder at the moment is our leader. So if, of course, if they manage to kill the leader, then that's a bad thing. But the way that the vulnerability system works is that it ignores the normal damage minimum, and the normal damage minimum is 1. That's the minimum amount of damage that a opponent can do to a target, ignoring the possibility of evade or block. Now, if the target is vulnerable to the weapon type of that particular character, then the minimum amount of damage that can be done is actually 3 instead of 1. Now, Kite is sitting on 16 HP at the moment and will be gaining a level soon enough, like right now. So I'm not particularly worried about these guys doing any damage to him. None of them have any ranged attacks or special abilities or spells, so if you think about it, the maximum amount of damage that could be done to him in one turn is pretty low. Now, we're going to skip ahead a little bit because this is pretty dull, and we're going to be moving back to start to engage the opposition towards the rear. Now, you'll see that Saraban commander leading up the remains of the detachment, and he is not actually a leader character. He's just a buffed up infantry. Now, if he were a leader character, actually killing him would get rid of the entire detachment and probably end the level. In this case, that's not gonna happen. Now, he does have an awful lot of HP, and he's a halberd wielder, which is quite unusual for an infantryman, which means he is particularly effective against our sword wielders. And I'm not all that worried, really, and you're about to see why. Dantes has the amount of defense so that he can actually reduce the amount of damage that's coming into 1. So if we use Dantes as a buffer zone, then I'm not concerned in the slightest. We'll be taking these guys out for the specific reason that they drop quite a bit of XP, and there's a high chance that the defense commander will actually drop a healing drop, which will be useful later on. So we'll get rid of him. There really is no point in not doing that. We're not in any particular hurry at this point. Now, I'm going to provide some highlights here. I'm going to finish off the defense commander, and then I'm going to skip forward to the final battle with the Ankh Monk at the end, just because there really isn't anything else to show you. The bats are absolutely zero threat to anybody, and even the Ankh Monk now at this point is relatively pointless, which is the reason why they're actually retiring these characters, at least for the next few battles. You'll be meeting some brand new enemies in the next fight, an entirely different set of enemies, which is good because it does keep the game relatively challenging. And from this point, things start to get a little bit harder, which is fine by me, quite frankly, because this battle is more simple than it should be, at least in my opinion. Now, I haven't done any power leveling, and I'm clearly outmatching absolutely everything that they have. The bats aren't doing any damage, the masked monks aren't doing any damage, even the Saraban Knights, which were a one-off appearance, at least in Scenario 1, were almost no threat whatsoever. which is kind of unfortunate, really. I recall actually playing back the first time I ever did this, and somehow, I don't know how, but I managed to lose half of my characters to the Saraban Knights, and I found it to be rather unfair. Now I'm older and an awful lot wiser, at least I hope I am, and that's not so much of a problem anymore. I don't really know why they advise you to stay ahead of the Knights, imagining that it was any kind of challenge whatsoever. I suppose for a relatively novice tactical RPG gamer, they might have had a few issues with it, but really, anyone with half a brain can deal with that. I would have liked to actually see more challenge there, but we'll be seeing plenty of challenge later on, that I can guarantee you. Now, let's get this guy out of the way and finished off so that we can move on to Balsamo. And the next update, as you might expect, is going to be some RPG larceny, where we go around finding some hidden items in Balsamo, and a number of interesting NPCs, as well as an interesting plot progression. That is Battle 3 right there, the road to Balsamo. The Ankh-Monk is down, everyone's been eliminated, and we're chasing the Emperor, who right now, quite frankly, is long gone. We'll find out a little bit more about that later on. My name has been TotalBiscuit, this has been Battle 3, Road to Balsamo. It's the Let's Play Shining Force 3. This is TotalBiscuit signing off.